Hi, my name's Angela Bull. I'm the CEO of the Independent Book Publishers Association, and I'm here representing our members' titles at BookExpo America 2017 in New York City. We have over 3,000 members in IBPA, and I'm here with one of those members. Her name's Lori Jones. Lori has just written and published her debut novel called My Interview with Beethoven, and today we're going to talk a little bit with Lori about the book, about her inspiration for writing the book, and why Beethoven. So it's going to be pretty interesting, I think. Welcome, Lori, to BookExpo.
Thank you, Angela. I'm very glad to be here.
This book is great, I have to say. I've really enjoyed looking at it and talking about it with you a little bit in preparation for this interview. Can you tell us a little bit about it? What's the book about?
Well, it's historical fiction. The book starts out where George, at 11 years old, finds out that there are some men who are taking his mother away. And her name is Hannah Becker. And come to find out, George's stepfather is behind this. And he doesn't know why until his stepfather breaks it to him that she never loved me. She loved him. And the him turned out to be Beethoven, because Hannah used to be a young music student when Beethoven was 31 and she was 16.
Right.
So it's like the stepfather was punishing both his own wife and George when he tells George, okay, you're not living here anymore. You are no longer my son. This affects him so much, it carries through George's life through the book.
So and it kicks George Thompson, that's the protagonist in this story, and
Yes.
it kicks him on this hero's journey, right, to find Beethoven.
That's
and
right.
to interview Beethoven, and
That's
to try
right.
and get to the bottom of this mystery about whether or not Beethoven is his father.
That's right.
So why Beethoven? I mean, it's a historical fiction novel, so I assume you could have picked any historical person, that we know. So why did you focus on Beethoven as the person here?
Beethoven is very inspirational, and I think not just to me, but to millions of people, particularly through his music. When you mention the name Beethoven, people hear those four iconic notes. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
All right?
definitely.
The second thing they hear is the Moonlight Sonata. The third is Für Elise. And of course, my very favorite is the Ode to Joy from his Ninth Symphony. Beethoven's life was very complex. He was born in a dysfunctional family to an alcoholic father and to a mother who I think suffered from depression. But despite that, through his father, he perfected his musical genius to where he became known as the Lion of Vienna when he was in his 20s. And then it started. He started losing his hearing, first in one ear, then the other. It was a very gradual process. And still he produced great music, although it was not only frustrating to him, it actually terrified him for years. But then there was a new kind of genius that evolved in his music that I think even surprised him. And that is the music we hear today.
So he's as well. So as a part of the story, you have a character who has a lot of drama, right? So you're
Yes.
able to draw on that drama
Yes.
to create the tension in the story. And you also have a character in Beethoven who's overcome great obstacles and who can kind of serve that function for the reader, I suppose, of showing them what it takes to overcome great obstacles.
Absolutely, Angela. What we find in his music, particularly in his symphonies and sometimes in his sonatas, is that one theme of victory over defeat.
Yeah.
That was his life's theme, and I think that's why his life was inspirational to me, because I was going through some very difficult times in my life in my 30s when I had moved from Southern California to Washington. And I found that of all the music that I tried to heal, to let heal me, his was the only music that not only healed me, but it strengthened me. So I took the life lesson from him. He inspired me so much that I actually said, who is this guy? I really want to know him. So I poured through so many biographies, and the more I read about him, I was just stunned that he just pulled me up through my spine and said, you can do this. If I can be strong, you can be strong. And this is the kind of message that I want to impart to the reader, that we have challenges, but if this man can do it, imagine the obstacles we can overcome.
And you I agree, by the way, and I love that you would take that as kind of an inspiration for the book and roll that through and give that to the reader, right? And they say that an author starts a book, but a reader finishes it, and I think that's kind of this journey that you'll take them on.
Right.
What else would you like a reader to take away from this book? What else are you looking for? Do you think they would take away from grabbing a copy and devouring it in a couple days?
Oh, absolutely. But let me tell you what my beta readers told me and what
Sure.
other people had read told me. And their impressions were straight across the board. They loved the book. They were impressed with the research. I mean, I want them to really concentrate on the characters, but they were just wowed by the research.
12 years,
Yeah.
yeah, to write this book.
But the thing with historical fiction, I think that all authors have to be aware of when they write historical fiction is don't let the research be your story. Let the characters be your story. It is their struggle. And it's like the old saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. People are people no matter what century we're in. And what I want readers to realize is that this isn't just Beethoven's story. It's also the story of the protagonist, George Thompson. As a young man, 23 years old, a Virginia newspaper man, he goes to Vienna to interview Beethoven because he understands, he's heard that Beethoven is his father. And throughout this interview, he's trying to figure out, how do I tell the maestro I'm his son? This is really George's story, although the meat of it is Beethoven's story. And the whole purpose of this, George doesn't realize it until toward the end, that Beethoven influenced him in such a positive way that George evolved from a youngster to a man that is taking responsibilities for his own life.
Well, I think everyone would enjoy reading a copy of this book, getting a copy and reading it. It's not quite available yet, but it will be available July 1st, 2017. So definitely take a look. You can find it on Amazon, as where you can find all the rest of the great books that are out there. So around July 1st, and you can learn more about Lori Jones on her Facebook page, which is at LA Hyder Jones. She also has a website at lahyderjones.com. We're really glad to talk to you, Lori. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you, Angela. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.